Good to meet you all, Brave users. Uh, so my name is Ani. I'm a staff engineer at Brave. I work on wallets. And today I'm going to talk about operational security in wallets. And this is something that I think is really important, not just for you all sitting in this room. You probably have a framework already. But it's also important for normies because if you're onboarding a normie and they get exploited, they're never going to come back. So as builders in this ecosystem, we have a responsibility towards them that they stay safe in this dark forest. And so I'm going to teach you the mindset behind OpSec, wallet OpSec, and share some handy tips that you can use to protect yourself out there. Okay. So I'm someone who works on browsers, intersections of browser and wallet. So this is what I wanted to talk to you first about. I realized that a lot of crypto users are browsing in the in-app browser of the wallet. This is pretty dangerous. And I'm going to make my case. So the question is, should you use a wallet in your browser, or should you use a browser that your wallet already provides? And I have a hall of fame for you. This must raise some alarm bells for you. So you go to NewYorkTimes.com. I mean, normally they shouldn't have anything to do with crypto. But if you go to New York Times, you go to the list of websites that it loads, like third-party links. In one of those URLs, you'll find that there's a script that accesses window.ethereum. Yes, you heard it. Same with CNBC. CNBC is, I think it's loading, it's trying to access window.binance, something like that, I forget. But the prize goes to TikTok.com because it not just accesses window.ethereum and exfiltrates the whole window.ethereum object, but it also tries to do JSON RPC requests to your wallet in case it's unlocked. It can do some, it can get your accounts, it can query various things, get balances, and so on. So if this is not real-world adoption, I don't know what is. So what should you do? OK, before that, this is another example I found in a very popular dApp. I'm not going to name it. It's a DEX. But I just went to its cookie store. And when I just inspected one of its properties, I see my wallet address there, which is pretty shocking because this cookie is for use by a tracking analytics website called Mixpanel, if you know about Mixpanel. So this analytics website has your wallet address and knows everything about you. This is pretty shocking. So what should you do? The first thing is understand that if you're using the in-app browser of your wallet or any other in-app browser, for example, if you use the X app, it has an in-app browser. It has the same kind of issues. So it exposes you to a lot of problems that you may not be aware of. So you can self-audit yourself on this nice website called coveryourtracks.eff.org. It's by Electronic Frontier Foundation. So do an audit, see if your browser has some fingerprinting resistance. Try to use ad blockers. So what most ad blockers will do, or rather what we do at Brave, is since we cannot block individual tracker scripts, JavaScript, we cannot restrict the execution of a script that has already loaded. What we try to do is, for known scripts, we redirect the URL to a dummy script that does nothing. So if you visit NewYorkTimes.com and it's trying to access your window.ethereum, we replace that whole malicious or sneaky script and replace that with something that does nothing, but doesn't break your browser at the same time. Clear cookies on closing tabs. It's a setting that most browsers are able to do. So even if the dApp is trying to exfiltrate your cookies, your wallet addresses through cookies, you can at least be sure that once you're done with the browsing, it's no longer with them. And lastly, there's a private, you can access your wallets in private mode. Just go to Chromium settings, extension settings, and there's a way to enable uh, extension access in private windows. So you should definitely do that if you're worried about the website tracking you. But note that even in private mode, the websites can still track you through a variety of means. But most importantly being, your browser should come with fingerprinting resistance. And there is also a website, forgot to mention here, but it's known as privacytests.org, which lists down all the different popular browsers out there and compares what kind of protection each browser provides versus others. So, blind signing transactions. This is something even I am guilty of. Do you know what this transaction does? It's, by the way, it's one of the most popular transactions out there in Ethereum. And like, I'm someone who can understand call data, but just by looking at it, I don't know what this does. For all I know, this is a transaction that can totally drain your wallet. So we need better user experience that tells the user upfront what's happening with their transaction or what it's capable of doing at least. And even like maybe you can inspect the contract address and be convinced that it's not a malicious one, but let's be honest, no one's doing that. Even if you go to Etherscan, it's often not able to parse really complex hex blob. And this is also one of the, I mean, after the fact that it's included in the blockchain, it's too late. But especially when you're about to sign a transaction, wallets should be able to do that. So here's something that we did. So this is an example of Brave Wallet. What we try to do is parse the transaction call data to extract meaningful information, not just that, but also present this information in a way that the user can understand and audit. This is how we keep users safe. It works not just for transactions that are initiated from the wallet, but also arbitrary transactions that you can do through any dApp. Like this is the example on the right is from a nice DEX known as Matcha. So here's something else that you can do. What you can do is use something known as transaction simulations. What it does is it forks the network and tries to dry run the transaction, observe the side effects it has, and produce a difference between the original state of the blockchain for your accounts and what the transaction did, and show a difference that you can see on your screen. So if you can, try to use wallets that have simulation feature, or if you don't want to use such wallets, then there is an extension called Blowfish, and I think it's free to use, but it works like a sidecar. So along with your extension, it'll pop open a simulation window that lets you see what the transaction is doing. This is not entirely foolproof. There are ways to trick simulation extensions, but at least it provides something. So on the left, it's a DEX transaction. On the right, what you see is an ERC20 approve. You may have seen a lot of examples where someone allowed a contract to spend all the NFTs in a collection. And, at least a simulation can help you preview what the transaction is about to do. So, and finally, I mean, this should be obvious, but we should always verify the ETLD+1 component of the URL from where the transaction is created. You can do that when you're connecting a wallet. In this case, you can see that, sorry. You can see that it's highlighted here. And also when you sign a transaction, it's typically very clearly mentioned, but I think what wallets do, and this is something that we are also going to add pretty soon, is have a reputation check mark or something just beside the ETLD+1. But yeah, always verify that. This is even trickier because when you sign a transaction, it goes to the blockchain, gets confirmed, but uh, when you sign an off-chain message, you don't even need to be connected to the internet while you're signing the message. So what happens is a lot of dApps, they request you to sign some random hex like that, which doesn't really make sense. So if you don't understand it, you think it probably makes sense, right? So this is an example where Kevin Rose, who's a NFT aficionado, someone as expert like him, if he can fall for this, this is a malicious message that resulted in his NFTs uh, getting sold on OpenSea for pretty much nothing, so he lost $2 million on that. So if this can happen to him, it can happen to me, to you, especially to normies. So what should you do? You should think twice before. You should actually verify which dApp is creating this message request. Another example, so we want to have a Web 2-like experience in Web 3, and sign-in with Ethereum is a good example of that. But even sign-in with Ethereum messages are not that readable. It has nonce, chain ID, version, like they have timestamps in a weird format. You don't even know what that means. So what we try to do in Brave Wallet is not just parse it and display it in a nice UI, but also if any of the message fields doesn't match to the origin of the message, then we show some errors. So it's it's something that every wallet should do, and I think we are not doing enough as an ecosystem. But we'll only have people coming from Web 2 switching over, or have specs like sign-in with Ethereum used in traditional websites if we can offer experiences like this. This is even more bizarre. Like, on the left, you have a transaction. It's actually a message signing request that does a gasless swap. So the contract you're interacting with can already spend your assets. And this message is basically providing the authorization to do that. But on the left, you can see that it has a bunch of gibberish, which it's impossible to understand this. But also, this is one more countermeasure that we have rolled out, is ability to understand this message. Passing it is not that difficult, but the main value addition is the UI that the user can easily audit. So yeah, this is a cow swap order, by the way. And yeah, I found this example from X2Y2. I don't know what this does. Do you really want to sign a SHA-256 hash of a message and you don't know what it does? Probably not. So if you have such a request, message signing request, you should probably not sign it, or at least verify whether you are providing this authorization to a trusted dApp or domain by checking the ETLD+1. All right, so this is far more common than I originally thought. And recently, someone I knew fell victim to this attack, an address poisoning attack, which kind of motivated me to talk about this. So the idea is that now that we have a fantastic way of generating addresses where the first and last few characters can be similar or be exactly what you desire, it's just brute force, you can generate addresses that are very similar to the ones that are in the transaction history of the victim or the potential victim. So what an attacker does is checks these addresses and just does some zero value or negligible value transactions, so that in the hope that the victim is going to copy the destination address from the transaction history. And believe it or not, this is a very is a highly is an attack with a high success rate. Uh, I don't believe it, but even I have copied addresses from transaction history. And by the way, uh, you should never trust addresses in the transaction history or transaction history at all, because Ethereum doesn't have a vanilla or native way to, like a native index from addresses to transactions. So always remember that you're relying on the generosity of third-party APIs to show you the right transactions. And if they're not doing a good job or they fail to detect an address poisoning attack, then you're pretty much screwed. So lesson is never copy addresses from your transaction history. Use an address book, like have a notepad, or a lot of wallets have address book feature already. The second one is easier. Always use test transactions. It doesn't matter if it's to prevent address poisoning. In general, it's a good practice to do. Try to use ENS domains if you can. These days, you can get a free ENS domain or subdomain that are offered by many wallets. So if you can, by all means, use them. And finally, there are some wallets who can detect poisoning attempts. So if your address is poisoned, it shows you a warning, or if you're trying to send to a poisoned address, it shows you an error or something right before you're about to sign. But even you should not trust those or not rely completely on those extensions, because they can have false negatives. Okay. So, I mean, I'm a big proponent of open source, but it should be obvious to everyone. But let me show you an example to drive home the point. This is about a wallet. Again, I should not name the wallet, but it's obvious from the slide. It's a Solana wallet that got drained. Users' funds got drained in a span of 2 days, worth $4 million. That's a lot of money. And you know why? Because they were logging some stuff and sending it to their in-house logging servers. And the logs had the 24 or 12-word recovery phrase, which is shocking. It wouldn't normally happen in an open source wallet. The fact that it was a closed source wallet was the reason why this exploit existed in the first place, because the developers would think they can get away with a lot of stuff. But then if you follow this kind of security principle, then like security from being closed source, then it's only a matter of time where someone figures out a way to exploit it. So I came up with an idea of Schrodinger's wallet. It's just to provoke you to think that if your wallet is closed source, then you cannot really know if it's custodial or non-custodial, so you should assume that it's both. Rather, I would say you should assume that it's custodial, but yeah, you get the point. So what should you do? First, find out if the wallet, your favorite wallet, is open source or not. Shockingly, I didn't include it in my presentation, but if you take a list of all the popular wallets out there, like top 5 or top 10 wallets, more than half of them would be closed source. And maybe 15 or 20% would not be using open permissible licenses. So you can see the code, but you cannot do anything with it. So yeah, understand the risks of closed source software, especially when it comes to crypto wallets. And try to use wallets or stack that follows open development processes, uses permissible licenses. So it's not just open to see, but also open to modify according to your preferences, and that has public security audits, very important. So a lot of us just use dApps which ask unlimited approvals, and we just blindly say, yes, take it. What this lets these smart contracts do is ability to spend all your token balances. So avoid granting unlimited approvals. Ideally, you want to edit the approval request to just use as much as your balance at max. More than that doesn't make any sense. It's just exposing yourself to security risk. And yeah, in general, try to use sane long-term values so that you can save on gas if you're worried about that. Doesn't make sense on L2s, but if you're worried about it, by all means, go for it, but never use unlimited approvals. There's a neat tool known as revoke.cache. It allows you to audit all the approvals on various smart contracts, not just token approvals, but also permit signatures, permit to signatures, and yeah, you should use it periodically. So last is hardware wallets, and having worked on hardware wallets before Brave, I can tell you that I mean, if you have a portfolio value that's exceeding the cost of standard hardware wallet, please get it. Forget about air-gapped computers because it only offers a mental satisfaction. Because the air-gapped computer can, of course, it can restrict access to the external world, but it still doesn't protect you from bad randomness. And to explain the point further, you can consider the use of paper wallets. So never use paper wallets, by the way. One of the most popular paper wallets in Bitcoin was vulnerable to bad randomness for a very long time, and it was the top search result on Google for like years. The idea is that the paper wallet is deterministically going to generate some 24 words or 12 words that the attacker controls already. So it doesn't matter if the computer is air-gapped or not. It's it's going to be it's going to drain your wallet at some point. Never enter your 24 words. This is, again, very obvious, but never enter these 24 words outside the hardware wallet. And most hardware wallets have this recovery app. If you're paranoid that your 24 words do not work anymore, you can put them there and check if the 24 words result in the same accounts. And I mean, this is probably the most important point is verify what you paste and not what you copy. Because you should always operate with the assumption that your clipboard has been hijacked. What you're going to paste is something that's controlled by the attacker. So always verify that, and not just the first and last few characters of your address. That's the whole point of a trusted display in a hardware wallet. And finally, if you ever lose a hardware wallet, just go home, get a new hardware wallet, sweep the entire fund into a fresh seed. Because believe it or not, a lot of these hardware wallets, especially the ones that do not use secure elements, they are not designed for physical safety. So if I have physical access to a hardware wallet, it takes an equipment of under $100 to extract the seed from it, unless it's a hardware wallet that's specifically designed for that. So to conclude, should not worry too much about the market sending the crypto price to zero, because there is a higher probability that you'll lose it all in an attack if you're not being careful. Be aware of what you're doing, what you understand, and especially what you do not understand. Be choosy. Be choosy with your wallets, with the dApps you interact with, and finally, always have a protocol to follow, like a plan whenever you are transacting on Ethereum, and mitigate your risks. Thank you. So if you have questions, feel free.
Cool, thanks. Great presentation. First question is short. Do you have any hardware wallets you recommend that are secure, even if an attacker has it? If they steal your ledger or whatever?
Yeah, a ledger would be a hardware wallet that has a secure element protecting you from that. There's also cold card. So any hardware wallet that uses secure elements, go for it. But again, a lot of users do not have that as an attack vector. Like if you're never taking a hardware wallet outside home, probably good with a Trezor or any open source hardware wallet.
Okay, and then I just want to give like a personal anecdote. So you mentioned the address poisoning, and in our safe, we received ARB, and an attacker deployed their own ARB token and sent the same amount to our safe, and it was like within 30 seconds, and so our safe history showed both, and there was no way to differentiate because they had mined like enough of the address, and we're so fucking confused. And it wasn't until we went to the Block Explorer and saw a bit more of the address that we realized, because we thought like ARB had sent us 2 transactions of their token. So anyways, yeah, address poisoning is super common now.
Yeah. Did you get exploited, by the way? Or?
No. We had nothing to send back, but we were confused why we received it twice. Yeah. And then it obviously turned out the second one was just a shitcoin.
It's extremely common.
Deployed. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Do we have any more questions? Well, with that being said, Annie, congratulations and amazing talk. Let's give it up for Annie.